Good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are super excited to host the Forsyth County Schools Dual Enrollment Information night. My name is Brandy Canizera. I work with our College and Career Development Department here at the district. Tonight I am joined by several counselors that are going to help with our presentation. So in a moment, Amy Short, our lead counselor for Forsyth County Schools, will join us. Ms. Keisha Moore, Director of Counseling at Lambert High School. Mr. Rafael Santiago, School Counselor at East Forsyth High School. And Mr. Tom Neighbor, Director of Counseling at Alliance Academy. We also are going to be joined by a student panel in a few minutes. So thank you again for joining us. As a reminder, our presentation and recording will be available on our website tomorrow morning. You can also find all of your dual enrollment information and answers to any questions you have on your own school dual enrollment website. On the handout you received when you came in, you're going to see QR codes to each of the high school pages, as well as QR codes to our colleges that are visiting with us tonight. At the end of our presentation, you're welcome to visit the college tables in the lobby. We also have college tables upstairs. If you head right upstairs, we have stairs and elevators. And then in our black box, which is right around the corner, we have Georgia Tech in there and Embry-Riddle. So thank you again for joining us. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Amy Short.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have such great attendance at our first ever district dual enrollment night. So I'm going to start off just by sharing with all of you some general information about dual enrollment, what the program is, and then some of the other counselors are going to get into a little bit more of the details for you. So as you can see, dual enrollment is an opportunity mainly for 11th and 12th graders to be able to be enrolled in high school and college at the same time, which is where the name dual enrollment comes from, because you're enrolled in both high school and college concurrently. There are 10th graders that are allowed to participate in dual enrollment, and that is typically based on SAT and ACT scores if they want to take academic classes, or if they want to take what are called career tech classes, then they're able to do so at schools that offer those classes, at colleges that offer those classes, are available to 10th graders. It is a tuition-free opportunity, which means that as a dual enrollment student, students do not have to pay for course tuition. They do not have to pay for books. All of that is provided through the state of Georgia. It is through a different funding source than the source that pays for Hope Scholarship monies or Zell Miller Scholarship dollars. It's a different funding source through the state, so those two pots of money do not overlap or interact with each other. Dual enrollment is a completely different funding source. And that's where we have listed why it doesn't count against a student's HOPE hours. So if a child was participating in dual enrollment, it doesn't mean that they're starting to dip into the tuition that they have started to earn through the HOPE Scholarship program. Two totally different programs. The state of Georgia also does have a 30-hour credit limit for dual enrollment hours. And so I wanted to take a minute just to explain what the 30-hour credit limit means, because high school credits and college credits work a little bit differently. So most college courses meet 3 times a week. That's pretty average. And if a class meets 3 times a week, then that means it's a 3-credit course. So through dual enrollment, students have the opportunity to take up to 30 credit hours for free through dual enrollment. And that's throughout their high school career, okay? So 30 college credit hours equals, on average, about 10 college courses. So that's just to give you a picture about the scope of what a dual enrollment course or program can look like for a student. So this is some general information about dual enrollment, big picture things to think about. Students can only take dual enrollment eligible courses, and usually this includes mostly academic courses. So dual enrollment typically covers English, math, science, social studies, world language, and some career tech courses. Dual enrollment at college doesn't typically cover art, it doesn't typically cover PE, things like that. If you wanted to look and prepare ahead of time for what is covered through dual enrollment, every eligible course for every school in the state of Georgia is listed on Georgia Futures. So if you're not familiar with that website yet, that is a great website to become familiar with, because that's where all of the information about dual enrollment is listed. So it's gafutures.org, and on there you can find a course directory where you can search by college and see every course that is available through dual enrollment. Now, some courses do have prerequisites, just like courses in high school do, but you'll be able to see everything that is eligible for funding. Dual enrollment is offered fall, spring, and summer, so students are eligible, assuming they're accepted by the college, to take courses all 3 semesters. But remember, you only have a total of 30 credit hours. So once that runs out, the free funding from the state is done. Now, the way credits work for dual enrollment is different, like I said, than high school credits. So 1 full high school credit is earned in a semester from a dual enrollment class. And that's a really important distinction to know about as you're thinking about the dual enrollment program. So just to give you an example, if you or your child is in U.S. history right now, your student started that class in August. U.S. history will last the entire year. You'll be in that class until May, and you will earn 1 high school credit when you finish U.S. history. But in college, a dual enrollment U.S. history class will start in August, and it will end in December, and you will already earn 1 credit. You earn 1 high school credit in 1 semester instead of it taking the whole year. So that's a big distinction with the way the credits are awarded. And with dual enrollment, even though your child is working with the college about their courses and responsible for their courses at the college level, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, the high school counselor is still a pivotal part of the process in terms of reviewing and approving courses. Courses have to be approved at the high school level to make sure they still meet graduation requirements. So there's still a conversation piece that involves the high school counselor. So a big question that we get is, what are some of the differences if you're considering AP versus dual enrollment for your child? And so this slide kind of highlights some of the similarities and some of the differences. If you look in the middle in the white circle, this is where they're somewhat similar. They are both considered rigorous courses. They are both college prep programs. They both earn the extra weighting in the Forsyth County GPA calculations. AP and dual enrollment both count for Hope and Zell Miller Scholarship as rigor classes. You can also see in the middle there that students have the potential to earn college credit through AP and dual enrollment, and depending on the university students attend, they may prefer one program over the other. But if you look to the left and the right, you can see what are some of the differences lie between the 2 programs. Both are great programs, and a lot of times it really comes down to what is a better fit for your child. AP classes, students take a standardized test in May, and a lot of times their score on that test then determines if they're eligible for college credit. Typically, AP classes are taken at the high school. It's part of their high school schedule. It's taught by a high school teacher. They take it at their high school in their high school buildings. You don't have to drive to a college campus. There's not an age requirement typically for AP classes. They're sequential classes that are offered in your high school, and you follow along. If you were in AP World History in 10th grade, you would take AP US History in 11th grade. Those are just typical classes. And most universities in and out of state, depending on the score that you earned on the exam, will offer you credit for the class. And again, that varies from college to college, but typically it is pretty widely accepted across the United States. Now, for dual enrollment purposes, those classes are not offered on the high school campus. So if your child is enrolled in dual enrollment, it means that they're either driving to the college campus or they're taking the classes online. So that's one big consideration, is to think about if that's something that your child's ready for. In addition, dual enrollment follows the college and university calendar. It's not taught at the high school. So when they're following a different calendar, they don't have fall break like we do. Spring break is at a different time. So you have to make sure that you are following both calendars. You may have assignments due when everybody else is on fall break at Disney World, and you've got to turn in a writing assignment that's due for your dual enrollment class, and you need to be able to manage that. All public universities in the state of Georgia will accept your dual enrollment credit. It will transfer within the state of Georgia, but it will not necessarily transfer out of the state of Georgia. That is up to the schools that your child would be attending, and they would have to decide whether or not to take the credit. So those are some of the main similarities and differences. So you might be thinking about, is it right for you? That was a kind of a general overview. So Mr. Santiago is going to talk now about some of the major pros and cons about the program.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick announcement. Después de la presentación, si tienen preguntas en español, pueden hablar conmigo. Thank you. So, what makes a good dual enrollment student? I get lots of students who ask me whether I should do this. I have parents who call me and say, should my child dual enroll? Well, it's important to know that these are the characteristics that make a dual enrollment student successful. They have to be independent, one who can learn and work on their own. Because remember that they're going out to a college and we're not going to be able to see what they're doing. They have to be resourceful, have the ability to advocate for themselves. I have a daughter in college and I'm constantly saying, you have to talk to your advisor. I can't talk to her. They have to be intelligent and mature, have the aptitude to succeed, to prioritize, and time management is key. So meeting deadlines are very important in college. I like to say that in high school, deadlines sometimes are a suggestion, but in college, they mean it. Okay, you have to be driven, self-motivated to succeed, and you have to be organized. If you're not organized at any level, that can be an issue. So I'm going to talk about the benefits of dual enrollment, and you're going to hear this several times as you have. So we know that it's free, and that's a great thing. It's a really great program in that regards. If you pass the class, you get high school credit and college credit at the same time. So earning college credits while still in high school is financially beneficial and may enable you to graduate high school or college early. So we have students who by the time they get to freshman year, they can have as many credits as it would take to be a freshman in college and are actually starting as sophomores. Successful completion of courses earn the same weight as an AB or IB, so one additional quality point per successful completion of that class. And taking college level classes while still in high school may build confidence and independence. One of the benefits of being in a dual enrollment program is once you get into that college, you are now part of their system. You have access to that school, and you have access to their resources. And that's something that most students don't take advantage of. Now I'm going to talk about the potential drawbacks. Out-of-state and private colleges may not accept earned college credits in the state. So if you're taking a dual enrollment class through a college in the state of Georgia and you're going somewhere else, there's always the potential that they may not accept that credit. Due to FERPA privacy laws, colleges cannot talk to parents about grades or attendance. Students must be responsible and motivated. So that's a hard one for parents because we have to trust that our students are doing the right thing. We can't call their teachers, we can't email them, we don't know what's going on until that grade comes out. So we have to trust that our students are going to do the right thing because we're not able to talk to them and they certainly won't talk to us. There are major consequences to failing a dual enrollment class, and all grades are required to be posted on your transcript. And this is why it's important to know whether or not you're going to be a good dual enrolled student. I always say, when you do well, you win big, but if you don't do well, you lose big. And this is important because if you're a senior and you're taking a class that's required for graduation and you fail, that's an issue in terms of being able to get you in the class that's needed. In addition, that is now part of your college transcript. So if you don't do well, that's going to continue to follow you through college. You may finish high school, but that college transcript is going to have a failing grade on there, and it must be posted to the transcript. Students are managing two worlds, high school and college. So as Ms. Short said before, breaks don't coincide. So if your family is going away for the holidays or for spring break or fall break, then it doesn't coincide. And for dual enrollment, attendance is pretty much mandatory, so you'll be in school either way. As I said before, the high school has no control over college grading, professor communication, registration parameters, or college course scheduling. And this is important because when you are scheduling your classes, you have to work with us, and I believe this is part of the next slide. Let's see. Well, it's part of that side. But one thing you have to do is have reliable transportation. Obviously, dual enrollment means that you're going to go to the college, actually take a class, and then come back to high school. Unless you're a student who's doing it virtually, you're going to need to get there. And are you ready to start your college GPA and transcript? I just talked about that a moment as to why it's important to do well. And ultimately, what is your goal for dual enrollment? Why are you taking dual enrollment? That's important to know because the end game has to be different than what you're starting. The number of courses required for scheduling, all seniors have to take a minimum of 4 classes. Whether it's in school or through dual enrollment or any combination, you have to be enrolled in a minimum of 4 classes. If you're an athlete, if you're in dual enrollment, there are some different rules for that. And juniors must take a minimum of 6 classes to be involved. And as I said before, dual enrollment courses should be scheduled early morning or late afternoon to best coordinate with the school schedule. I've had students who want to take a class in the middle of the day. That does not work, so it's important that they schedule those classes either early or later in the afternoon. And most college courses are typically scheduled for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday.
Good evening. I'm Keisha Moore, lead counselor at Lambert High School. And now we're going to talk about the next steps. So if you're sitting there, students, and you're thinking, you know what, I could handle all of that information that Mrs. Short and Mr. Santiago went over, and I'm ready to take the leap and start my next steps. We are going to go over all the things you have to do starting tomorrow if you are interested in pursuing dual enrollment. First things first, you and your parents will have to go into your Infinite Campus parent portal and submit the intent to participate, okay? I see some of you taking pictures of the screen. This presentation will be on our website, and it will be recorded as well and posted online as well, so you don't have to take pictures if you don't want to. So the intent to participate form is going to be in the parent portal. We had a number of students last year that called and said, I don't see it in my student portal. It's because it's going to be in your parent portal, and you and your parents are going to have to read through all of the information before signing off. The next step after that is to research the college admissions requirements. All right, there's a number of dual enrollment colleges in the area. Closest to where our high school is located, we have Lanier Tech, there's University of North Georgia, there's Georgia State Alpharetta Campus, but there's a few others that if you decided to do full-time dual enrollment, you can drive there and take all of your classes there and not come to your high school campus at all. So Kennesaw State University does that. Georgia Tech does that just for an elite student. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that there's tons of options. You just want to make sure you pick the right university or right technical college for you based upon the courses that they offer. You're going to apply to the college and send in all of the required documents. That is your responsibility. Your high school counselor has nothing to do with that part, okay? You have to go to the college's website, complete their dual enrollment application, and make sure you complete the dual enrollment application and not the application to go to their college as a freshman. So we always want to make sure that you complete the correct application that usually tells us if dual enrollment is a good fit for you right off the jump. Gotta follow those directions, the dual enrollment college application. Once you apply to the college and send in all of the required documents, then you want to see whether or not the SAT, ACT, PSAT, or AccuPlacer is required for that college. That is going to vary from college to college, okay? So there are some schools like University of North Georgia and Georgia State that are going to require that SAT or ACT test score for admission into their dual enrollment program. There may be some colleges that'll take a PSAT score or AccuPlacer instead. If you're wondering what an AccuPlacer is, that is the college's placement test that they typically offer on their campus in the event they do not require the SAT or ACT. That AccuPlacer test can also be used to find out which class would be appropriate for a student in a certain subject. I oftentimes recommend to my students to take the AccuPlacer test to determine which math class they should take at the college campus if they're going to do a dual enrollment math class, okay? And the next thing is to request the high school transcript on the Parchment website to be sent to the college. That is an electronic transcript, and it's through the Parchment website. There typically is a fee associated with requesting your transcript to be sent to the college. You cannot download your transcript from your Infinite Campus portal and send it to the college. It must be an official transcript from the Parchment website. The next thing after that is creating an account on the GA Futures website, which again is gafutures.org, and completing the funding application. That funding application is needed so that you do not have to pay for the cost of the dual enrollment courses. Once you get on the GA Futures website, there's a circle right there at the top where we wanted to just point out to you that you're going to click that Create an Account button to start the process of creating your account. Then, once you do that, we have another circle there that shows you the shortcuts so that you can go directly to the dual enrollment funding application link. Once you get on that page, it shows you step by step how you're able to apply now up in that top right-hand corner. And then if you happen to get stuck throughout the funding application process, there happens to be a video right there on the page where it says click here to view a tutorial, where you can watch the video to make sure you know exactly how to get through the funding applications with no problem. Also wanted to show you on this same page in the left-hand toolbar is the course directory link. That is what Ms. Short was talking about earlier when she was talking about how important it is to review the course directory to see which colleges offer which classes. I've had students that have actually switched dual enrollment colleges after 1 year just simply because another college offered courses that were more aligned with what they wanted to major in once they went off to college in the future. So it is important to take a look at the courses that each college offers. Some additional next steps is the advisement piece. So once you apply to the dual enrollment college, submit all of your required documents, submit your parchment transcript request, make sure that you've done the SAT or ACT or AccuPlacer test. Now it's time to make sure that you monitor that college email, because once you send in your application, you are going to get a college email, or even if you had submitted your Gmail email address, they're going to be communicating with you to let you know whether or not you've been accepted into the program. And they also, in that same acceptance email, they give you a list of next steps for you to do in order to proceed with the process. They do not send that to your high school counselor, they only send it to you. Then you're gonna have to go to your high school's dual enrollment webpage for the next steps on course advisement. This is required, okay? So once you get accepted into the program, you wanna make sure you have reviewed your high school's dual enrollment webpage to find out the high school's next steps. At some high schools, I know they require an orientation. I know at some high schools, they may require you to come to another type of meeting with the counselors, whether it be small group or individual. So each high school is gonna have their different next steps. So you wanna make sure you go directly to their dual enrollment webpage. And that is on the back of the handout that you received on your way in. You just scan that QR code for your high school to find out what those next steps are. All of those next steps will be posted on that high school's website by tomorrow morning. We didn't want to overwhelm you and put it there tonight, so tomorrow morning, that intent to participate form is going to be ready in Infinite Campus, and the steps to proceed at the high school level will be ready tomorrow morning as well. Okay? And now I'm going to welcome Mr. Neighbor up in order to lead our student panel.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Hello, everyone. My name's Tom Neighbor. I'm the lead counselor at the Alliance Academy. I want to welcome our student panel up to the stage. Make yourselves comfortable. I want to thank my colleagues for doing all the heavy lifting, because I get to do the fun part. We get to talk to some real dual enrollment students and hear from them a little bit about their experience. And students that are here, this is a part for you to get some really good information. I know whenever I visit a college and I hear from students, I get the best information I can just from that panel. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. Before we get started, I see a lot of people standing in the back. Just know that the balcony is open upstairs if you would like to sit. Plenty of seats available. All right, panelists. Real dual enrollment students. So good to have you here. I know your names are up on the board, but let's start at the end with David. Let's just go right down the line. Just first name and the college or tech school that you are currently doing your courses at.
My name is David, and I am dual enrolling at Lanier Technical College.
Perfect.
My name is Satvika, and I'm a dual enrollment student at Georgia State University.
My name is Sarah Jarvis, and I'm a dual enrollment student at Georgia Military College.
Hi, my name is Maggie, and I am a dual enrollment student at University of North Georgia.
Hi, I'm Mason Westerholm. I dual enroll at Lanier Technical College.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the introductions. We want to give you a round of applause. I was going to save that to the end, but you can go ahead and do it now. All right, so just to get an idea of the types of courses you've taken, show of hands if you have taken a dual enrollment course in person. Okay, show of hands if you've done your dual enrollment virtually. Okay, has anybody done a hybrid course? Wow, cool. So they've run the gamut. Okay, so here comes the questions, and whoever wants to take this first one, what is one thing that you have found to either be helpful or challenging with dual enrollment? Anybody want to start? All right, take it.
So with me going to Lanier Tech, I want to do cosmetology. And so with me taking those classes, I started my junior year, and I will be graduating the year after I graduate high school. Because it is a 2-year program, I was able to get majority of my classes done through dual enrollment and only have to finish with 3 more semesters.
Fantastic. Okay, anybody else? All right.
One thing that I found beneficial with virtual classes through dual enrollment was the accountability factor and the time management that I was allowed to have. I'm a very, I would like to say, good multitasker, and I take AP classes at school, and I'm a dual sport athlete, and I work. So it allows for a lot more flexibility in my schedule to work and do my sports and still get my work done with deadlines and things like that, because after COVID, a lot of the Forsyth County deadlines, you couldn't take late points off.
Wow, I'd hate to try and get an appointment on your calendar. Okay, next.
So I'm virtual too, and my college is a little different because we're on an 8-week program, and we are offered 8 to 9 free courses, and I'm taking it over the span of 2 years. And the 8-week courses are very straightforward, and the professors have each been amazing, and they've taught me so much, and they're flexible if for some emergency comes up. But other than that, they've really helped my GPA, and they've also helped me get out of college classes that I'm not really required to have for my major.
Okay.
I found it helpful to take dual enrollment in person because I was able to experience college beforehand. I was able to create relationships with peers that are not just dual enrollment students, but college students that are interested in pursuing the major that I'm interested in. And I was also able to create a more personal relationship with my professor, and I was able to better engage in the course material.
I'd say the main thing I really enjoyed about dual enrolling at Lanier Tech is when I was taking my math courses, the tutors are amazing. I loved them. So they'll sit with you for hours on end, and lots of them have actually gone through the course material themselves, have all the homework questions written down with answers in the work shown. So if you ever have any questions, it's amazing that you have people who can help you and work through it with you like that. On top of the fact that in my English classes, the tutors at Lanier Tech, they will tell the teachers that you came, and you can even get extra credit if you go and you show the tutors your essay and they help you work on it. So it's a win-win.
All right, good stuff. So I'm hearing a couple of things. From the counselors that presented earlier, we heard that attendance is super important, okay? From this panel, I'm hearing that time management is extremely critical, and being able to advocate for yourself, either talking to a professor or going for extra help. So, would you all agree that at some point in dual enrollment courses, there's probably going to come a time where you need some help?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, so let's go a little bit different direction. We can start at this end and go back. Anybody that wants to answer this question. now that you're an experienced dual enrollment student, what advice would you give yourself going into it? Or what advice would you have for anybody here that's considering dual enrollment?
Make completely sure that you want to dual enroll, not anyone else, not your siblings, not your parents, you, the student. Because it's a type of thing where you're either hot or you're cold. You're not lukewarm. You're in or you're out. So, because it's a college class. It's hard. It's a lot of time. You're gonna have to go out of your way, do your own research, get your own help, go to the college, and on top of the fact that you're also going to be going to high school. So just make sure you're committed.
The advice that I would give would be to really, if you're taking it in person, to get involved with the discussions and offer your inputs and insights when you're asked, and share with your peers what you got from the reading or the assignments, because most of the learning that, personally to me, that came from the course was from the discussions that took place during class.
I would take it all again. The classes just really helped me manage my time better by taking more than one.
My suggestion would be to take initiative. I only do online classes, and I find it really helpful to get ahead and do all the classwork if I can the first couple days of the week. It gives me a lot more time and a more flexible schedule later in the week, and it just reduces stress completely.
I would say take the classes that you want to. Definitely if there's a way of doing, because I know most of our schools offer pathway classes. If there's a way to take your pathway class as a college class, it helps you it's very beneficial in the long run. And also make time for yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself with dual enrollment classes, because you are still a high school student, but still be able to balance the enjoyment of being a college student, but also being a high school student.
Okay, good stuff. Some really good advice. We've heard a mix of students taking career tech courses and core courses. So both are available. One thing all these students have in common is that they had a clear goal, and they have a clear goal with what they want to accomplish by taking some dual enrollment courses. Okay, so basically we'll start with you and you go back on this one. How do you manage your time, and how important is it to manage your time when you're balancing high school, college courses, maybe athletics and other things that you're doing?
Yes, so I have high school, college, cheer, and I also work 2 jobs. So a good way is to keep a calendar or keep times, and also don't agree to everything at once. You don't want to, like I said, overwhelm yourself with a lot of things. A lot of times my college classes are at night. So I'm able to go to high school in the morning and still have a break, but I'm also still able to work during that break if I need to. So those are definitely things to make sure that you keep yourself organized and on time and to a schedule.
I think that time management is important, especially with online classes. The way I work, and I know myself best, is that I come home from school and I'll have lunch, because normally I get home around noon, and I'll go to a coffee shop to study, because I know that I do my best work when there's like ambient noise. You have to know yourself to be able to set out a to-do list and know that it's not too much that you can handle. Don't make too many big goals that you know you may not be able to accomplish. Just a little bit every single day is always something.
I tend to work in the morning, go to school, and then I usually go to the gym before starting my dual enrollment. I try to make an agenda and plan off the course schedules that they give you at the very beginning of the year. And I build off, it usually starts with a discussion post that I try to get done Sunday to Monday. And then the older assignments are usually due Sundays before starting the next week. And those papers are heavy in your grade, so just start early so you have more time to work on it throughout the week without overpressuring yourself.
I found it helpful doing dual enrollment in person. I found it helpful to pre-read the material that is going to be covered in class, because unlike high school, you don't take notes as much during these classes, but it's rather based on discussing the material that we read. So I found it very helpful to pre-read the material so I can better immerse myself in the discussions and learn.
I found it really helpful to just, as was said earlier, know yourself. Because for me, I would go into school, to high school. I would come home, do a dual enrollment, then go back to high school for clubs. And that is tiring, to say the least. Because you get back home, you're just doing classes, you're like, okay, let's get to work. You open your computer, you look at the textbook, you're like, no way, man. So now I've improved, I'm happy. I go to high school, I come back, I like to play games, but I don't. I make sure I don't. I practice the piano instead, I do some work, I go back to high school, I come for clubs, and then I come back and I do some more dual enrollment work. It's all about just knowing yourself and understanding what you can do to keep yourself on pace and on track.
Okay, so we're hearing organization is key, and I love the dual enrollment program like the other counselors you heard from tonight. It's an amazing way for students to maximize certain things in their education, to get ahead. There's so many reasons to do it. In order to be successful, what we're hearing is that time management and organization is key. Not everybody's ready for that level of time management and organization and always being in attendance. So if that's something that you are still working on, still improving on, that's something to consider before committing yourself to dual enrollment. Last question, do I have time for one more? Okay, cool. I want just to ask you all, let's talk about prep time. Okay, we know you're in class at your high school, then we know you're in classes in dual enrollment. Now in college, sometimes we tend to be in classes less, but what's the prep time outside of class, and how does, a couple of you alluded to that, but how does that compare to a high school, say, honors or AP course? Is it more reading and prep time outside of class, about the same? What would you say? Let's start at the end with David, if you want to start us off. If not, just pass it down.
You can come back to me.
All right.
I would say it's more prep time, because in high school you usually take notes during class, but in dual enrollment you're responsible to take notes on textbook material in advance. So I believe that there's a little more outside of class prep that's needed.
I would say it depends upon the difficulty of the college level class that you're taking. For me, it takes less than high school time. I'm currently taking 2, and I tend to spend like an hour to an hour and a half doing both of them. And it also depends upon what assignment they have you do that week.
I think that it also depends on the course that you're taking. I took AP Spanish last year, and I am now currently in intermediate Spanish through UNG, and I think that I take less time of instruction just because I've been through multiple classes and I have many prerequisites for that class. But I'm also in AP Calculus this year, and that takes a lot longer than my other like English courses or maybe another math course that I've taken before.
Yeah, it definitely depends on what class you're taking. For me, I didn't take any APs before I decided to do dual enrollment. I just decided about the cosmetology program that they had, which is very hands-on, so there's not much homework when it comes to that. But when it comes to your core classes, I took math and ELA last semester. It just depends on how hard that class is for you. So like math wasn't as crazy hard as if it was for English. You you just have to see where you are in that class and what your grade is and how well you understand the material in class to really decide if you're going to have much prep for outside of that class.
Before we wrap up, I just want to let everybody know that these students are here on their own time for 2 sessions tonight just to share with you their experiences, and they're awesome. So let's just give it up for our student panel tonight. Oh, did you want to answer? David, take us home.
Okay, so, just drew a blank here, but,
About prep time.
Prep time. Compare it to high school. So from elementary school to middle school to high school, we always hear from elementary school to middle school, no, they're not going to hold your hand. You get there, and they're holding your hand. Middle school to high school, no, they're not going to hold your hand. You get there, they're holding your hand. And then you start dual enrollment, and you get in a lecture, you blink, and it's over. Like, whoa. And then you have homework, and that is where a lot of the learning happens. The material they give you to read, the work you have to get done, and it's enjoyable for the most part, but you have to go out of your way to do more research. So I find the prep time to be more with dual enrollment just because you're held less. Your hand is held less. It's more of do-it-yourself.
Good stuff. At this point, I'm going to dismiss our panel of students. Thank you very much. David, Maggie, Sarah, Mason, and Sadvika, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jamie Brown, who's going to close us out.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. This is an amazing turnout. As a former counselor, I always like to remind parents that you're hearing from folks who can talk to you from the educator and parent side. Tom, Rafi have older kids who've gone through school. Amy has a high school student and a middle school student. Keisha has babies in elementary school. I myself have a 21-year-old who went through dual enrollment. It was a great experience for her. I love saving the money personally. I actually have an 8th grader who's at his rise in 9th grade night tonight. But I wanted to be here with you guys because I wanted to tell you about an amazing opportunity that we're partnering with UNG. If I told you that your student could graduate from college and come out on the plus end with no debt and also be in a position where they could probably retire at the age of 48, what would you say? I thought you'd be excited. Okay, looking at the slide here, as you can see, the traditional student at UNG probably spends about $90,000 to go through 4 years of college. If you have hope, you save $16,000. That was the money I like saving. UNG has a program under their school education, it's the TCRPI. It's the Teacher Candidate Residency Program, where in their senior year, instead of doing just student teaching, they're in our school buildings and throughout the state doing their student teaching as a paid teacher in their senior year. So right now, if we have a residency student here in Forsyth County within the next year, they would make $40,000 during their senior year, okay? That's the TCRP Hope Scholarship route. The partnership we're doing with UNG, University of North Georgia, what we're going to do is we're going to have our students start the program early through dual enrollment. And what it will do is it will put them in a position where they finish enough classes that they finish their freshman year in high school. So now they're only spending 3 years in college. So 4 years removed from high school, they be in a position where they're teaching in our schools, making a teacher's salary, start salary for us about $53,000 right now. But as you can see at the end, it says plus 3 years toward TRS. That's the Teachers Retirement System of Georgia. Okay, so again, when I talk about students graduating and be able to retire at 48, that's huge. If you're interested in doing something like this, these are the classes that you would have to finish in high school. If anybody here is already in teaching as a profession pathway, Once you finish the pathway, University of North Georgia gives you credit for Education 2110. The other classes that you would take either during your junior and or senior year would be Education 2120 and Education 2130. So it's a great opportunity that we're starting with UNG through a partnership. Myself, there'll be another representative, Dr. Hardy from University of North Georgia. We'll have a table out there. If anybody wants more information about it, please stop and see us.
All right. Yes, that is super exciting. I know I wish that was around when I was in college. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So once again, as a reminder, everything will be posted on your school's dual enrollment pages tomorrow. Definitely make sure you have a handout with QR codes to everything. As you are heading out tonight, please drive safely. As a reminder, we have some colleges in the lobby. In the black box is Georgia Tech and Embry-Riddle. And upstairs, we have Lanier Tech and Georgia State University if you'd like to talk to any college reps. Thank you again for coming tonight, and drive safe.
Falling too fast to prepare for this. Tripping in the world could be dangerous. Everybody circling as vultures. Negative, nepotist. Everybody waiting for the fall of man. Everybody praying for the end of times. Everybody hoping they could be the one.